Seats. We have seats up here. You can squeeze in a little bit, help guide people who come in a little bit later. Thank you. Good morning. I am the Reverend Tracy Springberry. I use she, her pronouns, and it is my pleasure to serve this loving, dreaming, kind congregation. And I want you to know that every single person is welcome here. You're welcome here no matter who you love, what your immigration status is. You're welcome here if you came alone or if you came with a group. You're welcome if it's your first time or if you've been coming for 50 years. Everyone is welcome here. You're welcome if today you walk in with a broken heart or you are surging with joy. This morning, and I want to welcome everybody online. You're welcome too, and the people in Forest Hall and the people downstairs. We have so many places for people to be and enjoy our services. And after the service, we have coffee and cake downstairs, and there's a special reason for that cake. And so I would like to invite up the people on Team Jen. Karen, our president. this group of people. These fearless people, for months, have been covering the job of our administrator, Jen Fife Adams. So you can see how much she does. Yes. So they created the e-blast and the order of service. They updated the website and social media. They assigned rooms on the calendar. They kept up Breeze information and got pledge information in there. They worked with renters and so much more that I am absolutely forgetting about. And we're so grateful.
So we have a few little gifts. I'm looking for Rick Tangeman, though. He should be up here, too. Is Rick in the house? Could he come upstairs briefly? And let's see, who else is missing? 2, 4, 6, 8. Is Fiona here?
We're going to bring her right here.
The staff are in the front row.
Oh, okay.
We're going to bring her.
I've never met Fiona. That's why I did not recognize you. So we have little gifts for everybody. Yeah. He's here too, Paul and Roger. So cute. Can you hold this for me? Can you say the names?
Yeah. This is Elisa, Mary, Trish, Annie, Kim, Angie.
Tiana is online.
Oh, Tiana. Hello. And we have Rick.
And Rick.
So it really took a lot of people. We have Tiana online as well. So many people to fulfill that role.
Thank you, Roger.
So we wanted to, so now we are letting these people mostly retire. Not everyone gets to retire because we still need fill-ins, but most of them are getting to retire or do less because we have hired 2 people, Sierra and Fiona. You may come up. So this is Fiona Davis and Sierra Webster. Sierra is going to be doing a lot of our communications work, and Fiona is helping our renters and doing rental contracts. And we're so grateful to both of them. And then our best news is our administrator, Jen, who's been gone for 4 months, is now able to come back for 10 hours a week. And they're going to be supporting our 2 new staff members and doing some of the other responsibilities.
Yahoo!
And afterwards, to celebrate Team Jen, to celebrate our new staff, and to celebrate our administrator, Jen, we will have a lovely celebration downstairs for all of us. And Ashley Ulmer did the cakes. Setup was by Juliette Booth, and cleanup is by Becca Pronchett, Nadia Swaggle, and Linda Towers. So let's thank them as well. Did you have anything you want to say?
I just want to. One last thank you to Trish, who took care of getting all the gifts together for us. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody.
Oh, and I think I forgot to mention Roger, who's been fearless on Breeze, connecting us with Jen during all of these times when she has not felt well, and with doing a lot of proofreading and making things work perfect. So we so appreciate Roger.
Thank you so much, everybody. You can sit down now.
So now it is it is time to greet each other. And the question I would like you to answer this morning as you greet one another is, what kindness have you experienced or noticed recently? Some kindness. So greet each other and try to speak to someone you've never met.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, come.
We light this flame for visions of what might be. May the supposedly real seem less solid. May the inevitable reveal its careful, concealed tracks. Let us say our affirmation together. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful and what is wondrous. Let us open our minds to learn what is true and what is mysterious. Let us open our hearts to love ourselves and our neighbors.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Suzanne Smolman, and it's my honor to be lay leader this morning. I have served downstairs in Forest Hall, but today I'm very pleased to assist Reverend Tracy here in the sanctuary. And I just want you to know that this place, this congregation, Woof, it's a source of joy. Oh, thank you. Yes, I see other people feel that way. And one of the joys is welcoming Jen back. We're so happy to have her back. So for an opening reading, this morning I'm going to read a passage from the Reverend Dr. David Breeden. He's a senior minister at the First Unitarian Society in Minneapolis. And it's titled The Day Unwritten. Welcome to a new story. Welcome to a day unwritten. We gather to speak of possibility. We remember the losses. We celebrate the victories. We embrace the possible over the probable, weaving a story of hope. Join us in the new story. Join us in the day unwritten. Join us in the future of possibility. This is our time for gratitude and giving. I have so much to be grateful for. I hope you do too. This is such a difficult time to keep our spirits up between politics and what's happening to our democracy, horrifying injustice here and all around the world, environmental degradation, and so much more. But we have a responsibility to keep going, to resist demoralization, and to support our neighbors. So during this portion of the service, we set aside a few moments to reflect on what we are thankful for, to think of times when we've needed to accept help of all kinds from others, and to consider what we are able to share with others. Please think of those whose needs might be greater than your own right now, and please give generously. The hosts will collect the offering. Thank you for your generosity. Let us recite our affirmation together. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Now it's time for our story, and any children who want to come forward are surely welcome. You're also welcome to stay in your seats if you like. So today I'm going to tell the story of Aiden Ballou. Aiden Ballou lived over 200 years ago out in the countryside of Pennsylvania, where his father was a farmer. And when he was little, 7 years old or so, they went into the little town near them, and the soldiers marched in a parade. They marched down the streets and around in their handsome uniforms with a sword and their guns to drums and fife. And Aiden wanted nothing more than to be a soldier. He told his father when he grew up, if there was a war, he was going to enlist and be a soldier. So several years went by, and there was a great revival in his town. And a revival, they would bring out huge tents and chairs, and there would be a preacher who would preach God's love and damnation and many things. But for some reason, people still were inspired and came forward and were baptized, and that was true of Aiden's family, and Aiden himself was deeply inspired, and he wanted to become a Christian. And his family started going to church, and Aiden loved to read the Bible. And he read the Gospels where it said, Jesus said, love your enemies, and if someone hit you, to turn the other cheek. And he said to care for the poor. And Aiden thought about that, and he thought, if someone hit me, I would certainly want to hit them back. And if somebody stole something, shouldn't they be punished? But he kind of sat with that. And then when he was 18, he had this dream, this really vivid dream where his brother who had died came to him. And he said, you are supposed to preach. You are supposed to be a minister. Well, Aiden was a little shaken by that. But he thought about it, and his little tiny church didn't have a minister then, and different people in the community were preaching. And so he went, so one Sunday he got up and he said, well, I'll preach in a couple of weeks. So he came back, and he was so nervous, but he did it anyway. And he spoke deeply from his heart in an authentic way. And people loved what he had to say. And soon other little churches around the countryside asked him to preach, and eventually Aiden became a minister. Well, he was serving churches around Pennsylvania where he was from, and he was really anti-slavery. And so were all of his friends and congregations. But sometimes his friends would get into physical fights with people who were pro-slavery. And one day, one of his friends was killed in such a fight. And that gave Aiden deep pause. He began to think about how when people fought, it didn't create peace. It just created more hard feelings and more violence. And when there was war, that didn't create peace. It just created more hard feelings and more violence. And so he began to think about Jesus' words, and he began to practice and write about Christian resistance, which is what we think of nonviolence resistance, but he called it Christian resistance. And he gathered people around who felt the same way, and he preached that in his congregations. And around this time, he became a Universalist. So we're Unitarian Universalists, but there used to be Unitarians and Universalists. They were two separate faiths. And Aiden became a Universalist because he believed that everybody was universally saved, that God did not actually damn anyone, and that everybody would go to heaven, which is what he believed in. And so, but after a while, he decided he wanted to practice nonviolence more directly. And so he gathered a group of people who also felt the same way as him, and they started a community called Hopedale. And in Hopedale, they combined all their money, and they practiced nonviolence with one another. They fed the poor and took care of the sick, and they had a boarding school where children would come from all over to learn, and they taught them. And once there was this boy who was incredibly difficult. Like, he wouldn't sit in his seat, he would run away, he was mean to the other students and to the teachers, and everybody tried everything to help him, come in and be part of the community in a better way, but nothing worked. And one day, Aiden was teaching, and he got so frustrated. And this was the time when children were whipped if they did not behave. Children were supposed to be silent, but Aiden was never going to whip a child. And so he took out his belt, though, and he said to the child, I will never beat you like they do in other schools, but I want you to whip me as long as it takes you to be a good boy. And the boy began to sob, seems reasonable, and he behaved forever after that. Another time, a sick man, a hungry man, came to the community, and they fed him and gave him care, and then he left. But that night, they found him stealing from them. And the man began to cry, and he said, I thought if I stole from you, I would get arrested, and then I would get to go to jail where it would be warm and they would feed me. Well, the community, instead of turning him over to the police, offered him a job, and he stayed there with them without stealing as long as Hopedale remained viable, which was about 15 years. After 15 years, they went broke and they had to disband. But Aiden he still served churches, both Unitarian and Universalist churches. He preached his ideas of nonviolence. He wrote about them all over. And Leo Tolstoy in Russia read Ballou's writings. And he began putting his acts towards nonviolence, his teachings towards nonviolence, based on Ballou's work. And it was Leo Tolstoy who Gandhi read and was influenced in his work in nonviolence in India, where they removed the British to nonviolent action. And it was Gandhi who impressed Martin Luther King Jr., who practiced nonviolence to stop segregation in the South. And it was Martin Luther King Jr. who still influences nonviolent action in this country, including the very heroic nonviolent work done in Minneapolis to stop the surge of violence. Our faith has changed the world more than once, and we are capable of doing that again. We can now sing our children to their classes. This is the time in the service when we share joys and sorrows with one another. Life is full of so much joy. You just have to walk outside this weekend and feel the joy of the earth springing. And it is also full of so much sorrow. All you need to do is read the news about people who are being committed, cruelty is being inflicted on them, and evil. And it's also true in our own hearts, that sometimes we are happy and joyful, and other times we are sick and tired and depressed. And so we hold that in our community, because when we hold joy, it is greater when we share it with one another. And when we hold sorrow, it is easier to bear. So you may come forward and drop a stone in the water. We come down this aisle and turn this aisle. If you want to share a sentence or so about your joy or sorrow, that is welcome. We're doing it downstairs as well, both in the coffee room and in Forest Hall. And so what we're going to do is just have a minute or so of silence listening to Betsy play while they can do joys and sorrows downstairs. So when we do them upstairs, they can listen to us. So let us have some time in silence.
I'm very grateful for kind words. I experienced some this morning, and it changed my whole day around. So I want to encourage people to share kind words with one another.
This is for a dear friend of ours who's battling leukemia.
I am grateful for my overall friendships.
Appreciation for the future farmers of America who gave my daughter a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award. And there were 4,000 high schoolers in attendance at the state meetings. And they were thanking her for all the accessibility she created throughout the state.
This is for Herb Dirksen, neighbor who's having a really rough time.
Just expressing some joy for all the wonderful teachers that I have in my life right now. Thank you.
A couple months ago, I'm new to this congregation, but a couple months ago, I, for some reason, was moved to tell all of you that I was thinking about quitting my job and starting a new company, and wanted to let you know that I quit on Friday, and Monday's a new day.
This is for a couple joys. Joy for some positive health news for myself, and also the joy of seeing Ralph at our choir practice last week looking so good. And the joy of old friendships, how rich and deep they are, but also the joys of new connections and friendships.
I'm just so grateful for this community and this loving community.
And I put one last stone for all the joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts. Now it's time for meditation, reflection, or prayer, as is your tradition. And this morning, I ask us to breathe and to feel ourselves breathe, to feel the air come in through your nose, and into your lungs, and into your belly, and to feel it come back out again. This breath is one of the ways you are deeply interconnected with all living things and with each other. The plants make this breath possible. When you breathe out what plants need to survive. Every breath we take connects us with all of everything. Let us breathe together.
You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry it on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this on your own. So you do not carry this all alone.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Oops. That was beautiful. This reading is from Aurora Levins Morales. And for those who don't know, like myself, Aurora Levins Morales is a Puerto Rican writer, poet, feminist, and political activist. In this reading, she quotes Roque Dalton, who I learned was a Salvadoran poet, journalist, and political activist. And the title, Vahafta, refers to a traditional Hebrew prayer. Vahafta. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on your doorposts, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders. Teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies. Recite them in your sleep, here in the cruel shadow of empire. Another world is possible. Thus spoke the prophet Roque Dalton. Altogether, they have more death than we, but altogether, we have more life than they. There is more bloody death in their hands than we could ever wield, unless we lay down our souls to become them, and then we will lose everything. So instead, imagine winning. This is your sacred task. This is your power. Imagine every detail of winning, the exact smell of the summer streets in which no one has been shot, and muscles you have never unclenched from worry, gone soft as newborn skin. The sparkling taste of food when we know that no one on earth is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman wrapping herself in thin sheets in the back seat of a car, and the children who suck on stones, nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying shelter. Lean with all your being toward that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds and justice rolls down like waters. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37.2 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. And then imagine more. Imagine rape is unimaginable. Imagine war is a scarcely credible rumor. Grotesque inhumanities, the crimes of our age, the grotesque inhumanities of greed, the sheer and astounding shamelessness of it, the vast fortunes made by stealing lives, the horrible normalcy it came to have, is unimaginable to our heirs, the generations of the free. Don't waver. Don't let despair sink its sharp teeth into the throat with which you sing. Escalate your dreams. Make them burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Make them burn clear as a starry drinking gourd over the grim fog of exhaustion and keep walking. Hold hands. Share water. Keep imagining so that we and the children of our children's children may live.
Not long ago, Trevor Noah interviewed Zohran Mamdani on his podcast, What Now? Mamdani said of the political situation on the left, "We are robbing ourselves of ambition and imagination, and we're telling people that their choice is between settling or sacrifice. And neither of these are enough. You have to have an affirmative vision of how life can be better than this, because this life is already suffocating people." Noah responded, "I sometimes think it's because of the decline of religion on the left." What? Repeat. Mamdani says the left is robbing itself of imagination. It has no affirmative vision of how life can be better. And Noah, who describes himself as spiritual, not religious, says, "I sometimes think it's because of the decline of religion on the left." What could that possibly mean? Fortunately, later Noah explains a little more. One of the things that faith requires of you is the ability to believe that this current state that you are in is not the end. There is a possibility that something can be greater, and even though you cannot see it, you believe that it can happen. His argument is that because so many people on the left are not religious, they have lost the ability to believe that another world is possible. I've spent a lot of time pondering this, wondering if this critique is true, and wondering how it might apply to Unitarian Universalists, who are religious, but not in conventional ways. Do people on the left really lack the imagination to believe in the possibility of something greater? If one believes current Democrats represent the left, Noah certainly has a point. There doesn't seem to be much imagination or vision other than not this administration. However, if one moves further left to the Social Democrats or the Progressive Caucus, this does not seem to be true. Last week we talked about the Green New Deal, which is a beautiful imagined future. However, I don't think Noah is talking exactly about just imagining the future, but whether we can believe such a future is possible. Consider our reading this morning by poet Aurora Levins Morales. She asks us to imagine a future where there is no hunger, violence, or greed, and people have homes. She asks us to smell it, to feel in our bodies, imagine with all our beings that such a world is possible. Make your dreams, she writes, burn so fiercely that you can follow them down any dark alleyway of history and not lose your way. Can you imagine it? Well, yes, maybe. Do you believe that it is possible? Well, for me anyway, that point feels a bit shakier. The Universalist minister, Aidan Ballou, dreamed that a world of peace was possible and started the Hopedale community, which eventually failed. Not because most of the adherents could not live by the rules of nonviolence and charity, but because the brothers whose successful business largely funded most of the community decided to leave so they could benefit from their own profits instead of sharing them. Which maybe is one reason we are unable to have the faith that the dream we imagine is possible. In our society, people often prioritize their well-being and desires over others, even if those are extraordinary. The growing billionaire class is such an example. Some people, it seems, will hurt the poor, working, and environment without a moral flinch if they can only make more money. Knowing that, it is pretty hard to believe we could create a new world that focuses on care instead of greed. Other people seem compelled towards control and violence. We see it in the news all the time: shootings, domestic violence, wars, genocides. And we've experienced the desire of some to control in our families, at work, in our communities. Many are willing to hurt each other physically, emotionally, and economically because, I don't know why, but theories abound. We may be able to imagine the world we dream of, but there is so much that makes it feel impossible. One of the ways the Christian faith helps its practitioners experience God's grace is through sacraments, rituals such as baptism and communion. David Tracy, a Catholic theologian carrying on the work of other theologians through the ages, talks instead of sacramental living. This is recognizing God's grace in the lived world. It is the same idea as Peter Mayer's hymn, "Everything is Holy Now." Mayer sings, "On Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow, but everything is holy now." What David Tracy and Peter Mayer proclaim is once people were told the holy only entered their lives in prescribed moments, now we know it is possible to experience the holy everywhere. And as an aside, one of the people who started popularizing that idea was our very own Ralph Waldo Emerson. Kenneth Woodward, who for decades wrote about religion for Newsweek, says, "Religion has the capacity to shape, partly in a pre-conscious way, how we structure our experience of the world and our hopes and aspirations within and beyond it." He calls that religious imagination. You may have heard somebody from time to time say it was a God moment, when, for example, we think about someone and then bump into them quickly after, or they call. Others would say it's a coincidence. How we experience the world and make meaning is different if we see this unexpected experience as a God moment or a coincidence. What we believe is possible in the future becomes different. If we believe in God movements and collect them, we experience more possibility because God is here. We may notice interesting synchronicities or unexpected moments of joy or a feeling of peace or gratitude. And we name that as the holy working in the world. And in that structure, more is possible. If we explain these sorts of happenings as coincidences, just statistical probabilities, we may find them startling and a good story, but not as possibility. Martin Luther King Jr. and other prophetic preachers have leaned into this religious imagination. MLK Jr. believed the beloved community, a society based on love and care, was possible. He saw God working in the world, saw possibility, had faith in it, and knew the responsibility of people to bring it to reality. This is what Noah meant when he responded that I sometimes think it's because of the decline of religion on the left. MLK Jr. believed that the current state was not the end. He preached this in his I Have a Dream speech. He believed in the possibility that something could be greater, it could happen. And parts of his dream did happen. So how might Unitarian Universalists structure our experience of the world? How does our faith help us believe that another world is possible? We have such a variety of ways we approach our faith, from people who seek a deeper connection to the holy, to those who seek the comfort of a community of people who think like them, from those who are seeking personal growth to those who want to serve the wider community, as well as other approaches and blends of approaches. We are diverse. And many of us do not believe that God acts in the world for our personal growth and benefit. Still, even with this diversity, Unitarian Universalism does structure our experience of the world. Simply the act of committing to a community that says love is at the center, that every person has inherent worth and dignity, and we are part of the interconnected web of life changes us. This commitment means these values and others are important in our lived lives. We are willing to get up on Sunday mornings and attend based on values and kindness, because we want to consider those as part of our lives. We serve coffee, teach RE, make music, fill in for a sick administrator, provide leadership and welcome. We share joys and sorrows, and we offer each other care. We say a kind word. We offer each other friendship. We remind ourselves to notice what is beautiful, to seek truth, and love ourselves and our neighbors. We remember that generosity is one way to strengthen the interconnected web. Whatever we believe about ultimate reality, or whatever reason we have become part of this community, over time, these actions shift our perspective on the world and on our lives. What we do and what we value shapes who we are and who we are becoming. But does this faith help us believe that this is not the end and that a new world is possible? Most of us don't believe in a God who acts in our behalf in the world, who would finally bring a utopia in this life or in heaven. Still, I believe our faith can give us that conviction, or at least enough to believe that another way of organizing human community is not impossible. In small ways, that world already exists. All around us, people are kind to one another. They treat each other in ways that acknowledge inherent worth and dignity of all human beings. People offer care to our earth and to each other. They are generous. They are fierce for justice. What would it be like if we went through our days noticing all of it? All the ways we show up for each other and the earth. We notice so easily the sharp comment, the ugly selfishness, controlling behavior, and greed. Consider, though, the people who use their precious life energy to make treats and coffees after the service. Consider that small group in our congregation that gets up brutally early, regularly, to hand out food to the hungry. Or the others who make food in nearby shelters for those who have no homes. Consider smiles and strangers helping someone in distress. Not long ago, I left my phone in the Winco parking lot. Two Latino men, who between them only spoke a few words of English, found it. I called my phone from my home computer. They answered. And after several mishaps and miscommunication with me driving back and forth to my house, they stayed nearly half an hour in the Winco parking lot until I found them. It was extraordinary. They had no idea who I was. In today's world, such an act of kindness could have been dangerous for them. Yet they waited to give a stranger her phone. Some people say, love always wins, and this has annoyed me for years. Because history seems to say otherwise. However, a Presbyterian minister I read explained that for him, that means that even when things are the worst, the very worst, people will offer love and care to each other. Edith Rubin was at Auschwitz as a teenager. She remembers that on a march, she kept stumbling and almost falling, and another woman reached out and took her shovel, undoubtedly saving her life, because her weakness would have gotten her killed. In another act of kindness, a German guard each day placed his lunch on the ground for the prisoners. As cruel and punishing as Auschwitz was, the evil could never completely blow out the flame of love. Love never completely leaves. Love is that powerful. Love, kindness, and the holy are all around us each day if we simply pay attention. They burn brightly, offering glimpses into the world we dream is possible. When we tend that flame by offering our love and by recognizing the offerings of others, we can believe that what we dream for our life together is possible. Our dreams and the dreams of Ballou and Morales and Martin Luther King Jr. and Mamdani and the Progressive Caucus and their Green New Deal. The truth is, we don't carry this alone. Between us, there is enough love and kindness to make a new world possible. We can believe in it. Our faith can help us believe that a new world is possible. We can answer the call of love. We will now rise and sing, Answer the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love.
So go forth, my friends, and notice the world. Notice the love and the kindness and the justice seeking, and let us believe that another world is possible. Let us turn the front to the back and hold hands if you wish, and sing Carry the Flame.